What's going on, y'all? This is Isaiah Fowler, founder of SWAV Eyewear and SWAV Agency. And this is the SWAV podcast that starts with a vision podcast, where every Wednesday and Monday, or should I say Monday and Wednesday, we are coming to you with some new perspective in regards to how to grow your direct-to-consumer brand, right? We're here to support you in the growth of your direct-to-consumer brand. I didn't have a platform that I could come to and consume information like this to help me grow my brand. It was always more, about like website apps and stuff like that, but really being able to dive deep, I didn't have that. So I just decided to create it because I know in my brain what I be thinking and stuff like that. So, that's the platform. That's who we are. That's what we talk about. So if you rocking with it, go check out the episodes that we've been making. And then be sure to subscribe to the YouTube and also, on Apple Podcasts and all that good stuff as well. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think, how you liking it. And we're going to keep this rolling, right? So today, I wanted to make a video, do an episode about the cycles of business. Because we're currently getting ready to go into Q4, which is the busiest time of the year. But in Q3, back in August, I was hearing people say things like it's slow and stuff like that. Some people were getting stressed out. And I want to give you guys some perspective on that. So I break up the year of business into 4 pieces, which is quarters. And then within those quarters, I break it up into months. And then also I break it into seasons. And I correlate the seasons with an actual philosophy, if you will, right? So I'm going to break it down what I mean. Now you have spring, summer, fall, winter. Now, Q3 is July, August, September. And so I want you guys to think about it like this. When you start a business, you're at the starting point. And then when you launch your product, you're going to see a spike. After that spike, it's going to drop. And then it's going to, flatline somewhere. It's going to be your job to get it back up and then consistently going back up, right? So that in and of itself is a cycle. So what happens is, in the beginning of anything, there's always an immediate spike. And so mentally, you get excited, right? Everything, all the chemicals are being released in your brain. You think you got it. But right before that, you reach like this little doubt. And it's going to be your job to break through that. And then when you're up here, you're just going to think that it's not going to end. And then it ends. And then you reach this like valley of despair. If you can get through this valley of despair, you'll break through into sustainability and a level of success. Now that is like a mental cycle. But then we have the business cycle. You have January to, Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So patience is going to be one of the most important things, because this summer, people were stressed out because this summer wasn't going how last summer went. But the thing about it is, you have to be patient and understand that business is cyclical. I know that some days I'll wake up and I'll feel like things are slow inside of my world. That doesn't mean that things are slow in the world, but in my world, I feel like things are slow. Now, if I stop doing work, things will really be slow. So what's happening is that's the actual cycle of business right there. Sometimes in your business, you're going to have a slower month, but it's your job to be proactive with understanding that this is just a cycle. If you look at big companies' financial reports, you'll see their trends, their financial trends. And every year, around the same time of the year, you'll see where revenue is usually at. It may be higher than the previous year, but it's the lowest in relevance to the whole year's revenue. And that's a cycle. So you can't allow yourself to get stressed out when business is just going through its regular cycle. Women have something called a cycle every month. You should be anticipating the cycles. So start thinking about it. Wintertime, this usually happens in my business. Springtime, this usually happens in my business. Summertime, this usually happens in my business. Wintertime, this usually happens in my business. If you know that Q4 is usually your busiest time, then you should be getting ready for it in Q2 and Q3 and Q1 for the whole year. Depending on your business, you could be selling a product that's seasonal. Maybe your busiest time of the year is in March until June. Maybe that's the busiest time of year for you. So from July to February, we can't allow the cycle to get us down and make us feel like we're not successful. We have to honor the cycle of business. Everything is cyclical. And once you understand how things work in cycles, you'll no longer be stressed ever again. Because everything happens over and over and over again. Once you could get the cycle down in your business, you'll start to be able to predict revenue better. You'll know when you should launch a product, when you shouldn't launch a product, when's the right time, when isn't the right time. Something that I learned was the biggest time for the eyewear industry was not in the summer. I thought it was the summer when I first started it, but it's not. It's actually from the fall to the spring is like the busiest time for eyewear, because that's when new collections are coming out. That's when new designs are getting released. Fashion week. I had to learn that. I remember my first summer, well, last summer was COVID, but I remember like in June, sales were a little bit slower than like March. And I was like, why is that? So it's up to you to really like look inside of your business and start really understanding and doing research. And then once you understand it, you do things to combat that. I'm not saying accept certain things, but be aware of them. Once you can be aware of something, the game changes for you. Because awareness will allow you to make certain decisions for your business that will put you in a more empowered place. Here's an example. Let's say you sell something that is not conducive to purchase in the wintertime or the summertime. Let's say it melts all, right? It melts. And so sales are usually slower in the summertime. So if you know this is going to happen every single year. Every year, you should not be stressed out during this time. You should be doing something that will compensate for your loss of revenue or create more creative marketing campaigns that will allow you to sell more during this slow time. Because think about it. If everybody in your industry is saying that this is the slow time, that's actually an opportunity for you to say, I'm not going to accept it being a slow time. I'm going to figure out how to sell more products in this industry during the slow time. Because if most people in your industry are talking about how slow it is, that means that you could figure out how fast it could be for you. These are facts from a marketing perspective. Now, if you just can't get an actual, so the supplies or the vendors closed down, that's different. But if you're just saying that people just don't buy these things around this time of year, why don't you just go figure out why don't they? Don't just accept it. And that's how you could really tap into the cycles of business and use the cycles of business to your advantage. You can literally use the cycles of business to your advantage once you learn them. Every year, the same type of things are going to happen. January, we're just coming off of, the holiday season. Sales may be down a little bit, depending on what you sell. If we know that, what are we going to stress about? Let's get ready for the year. Let's, take a couple weeks to look back on the year, think about it, all that good stuff, strategize. February, we know it's going to be Black History Month. March, we know we're getting ready to go into spring. April, we know it's going to be Easter. May, we know it's going to be getting hotter, Memorial Day. It's cycles. Every year, you could tap into the cycle of the calendar and what usually happens around these times of years, and you could cash in on it. You could get your customer base looking forward to doing certain things every year because it's a cycle. Everything that starts up here is going to end up coming back to the starting point over and over and over again. So you want to not be stressed. And one thing that I always say, just because you had a bad month does not mean that you'll have a bad year. There's people that have had their worst month in business, but in that same year, that was the biggest year of their whole history of their company. That's why you got to understand cycles, and you can't get stressed out about a 30-day window when you have 12 whole months to quantify success. And the big brands in this world, they dictate their success in terms of decades. They say, how did we do this decade? Not how did we do this month? How did we do this decade? That's 10 years. So they're way more patient. And I understand that businesses are smaller, so you can't have the patience of a huge company, but you can still have that mindset. You can still master patience. And if you can do that early on, you're going to set yourself up for way more success later on down the road. So really think about cycles and really understand that some seasons it's about planting seeds. Some seasons it's about watering seeds that you planted and nurturing those seeds. Some seasons it's about protecting what you planted. And then some seasons it's about the harvest season and actually reaping the benefits of everything that you've planted. Move with the seasons. Think about it from that perspective, and you'll have a much more long-term approach to business and how you're approaching, your direct-to-consumer brand. So that's what I wanted to say. That's what I wanted to talk about. Understand the cycles. Be patient. Don't rush. It's all going to be good. Don't allow the doubt to creep in. everything is going to be what it is. Everything is going to be cool. Relax, calm down, and just know that it's going to be solid. You feel me? So that's what I wanted to say. That's today's episode. Understand the cycles of business and just be patient, and everything is going to work itself out. And always remember, everything you do in life, it starts with a vision. Peace.